TV for life.
A very good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Jahan. Today is the 5th of June 2023 and here are your headlines for tonight.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Gunmen opened fire at the new chairman of the Cooperative Insurance Company when he was heading to assume duties. Opposition political groups decide to oppose the proposed legislation on the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission. Police bust gang involved in online scams. Southwest monsoon establishing over Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka shines with 2 gold medals at the 20th Asian Under-20 Athletics Championships.
선수의 이 2파전이 아주 뜨거웠습니다, 오늘.
Pakistan Navy ship built in China leaves Sri Lanka after naval exercises.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
In tonight's top story, President Ranil Wickremesinghe on Monday appointed 4 High Court judges. District Judges T.J. Prabhakaran, P.K. Paranagamage and Assistant Secretary General of Parliament Tikiri K. Jayatilaka and Senior State Counsel K.D.Y.M. Nayana Nirmala Kasturiratne were appointed as the new High Court judges. The President's Media Division said the letters of appointment were presented on Monday. In more news, today is World Environment Day, a day that serves to remind us of how humans are responsible for the protection and conservation of Mother Nature. Sri Lanka is a nation that boasts a vibrant environment, from the turquoise waters of the Sea of Sri Lanka to the dense forests deep within the country. But how successful have Sri Lankans vested with the responsibility of preserving our unique natural wonders been? World Environment Day is celebrated every year on the 5th of June, and the theme of World Environment Day 2023 is #Beat Plastic Pollution. While Sri Lanka celebrates this day with multiple ceremonies and speeches to highlight the importance of protecting the environment, recent maritime disasters, such as the sinking of the MV Express Pearl in 2021, have highlighted the need for Sri Lanka to take steps to protect its environment. The sinking of the Express Pearl cargo vessel has resulted in the world's single worst incident of plastic marine pollution, the Express Pearl maritime disaster. The wreck of the Express Pearl unleashed a record 1,680 metric tons of plastic pellets on Sri Lanka's coast in 2021. The seriousness of the destruction becomes more clear when examining such events that have taken place in the world over the last 2 decades. In 2012, more than 150 tons to decompose.
The nurdles that were released from the Express Pearl disasters spread along the coastal belt from the western to the eastern and also to the
collecting the plastic waste. Our government agencies have exposed our people to carcinogenic substances. We don't know the number of people in the future who will be subjected to cancer, who will have to suffer cancer as a result of Express Pearl debacle. Especially those plastics which were emanated to the or which were spread to the environment will not only create an impact on the present generation, will definitely create an impact on the future generations also.
On board the 3-month-old Express Pearl ship were 1,486 shipping containers. Of those, 81 were classified as dangerous goods. The ill-fated vessel was also laden with 25 metric tons of nitric acid. The Express Pearl reached Sri Lanka with a leaking container of nitric acid after it was denied permission to enter the Hamad port in Qatar and Hazira in India. During high tides, the sea becomes very rough and it was not possible to douse the fire, let alone control it. Despite receiving international assistance, the blaze spread across the vessel, eventually sinking it to the bottom of the Sea of Sri Lanka. Thereafter, the carcasses of dead marine life, including sea turtles, whales and other species, started to wash up on Sri Lankan shores. The plastic pellets or nurdles washed up on the country's shores in bulk. Did those in responsible positions conduct themselves responsibly from the very beginning of this incident? Certain ministers visited the operations room to issue instructions on how to douse the fire. Some went on to note that carcasses of marine life washed up on Sri Lankan shores due to the tides and seasons. Yet, is it even possible to take this incident lightly at a time when Sri Lanka has failed to prepare a proper estimate for the damages caused?
Even in obtaining the compensation to do away with the ill effects of the menace or the pollution caused by the plastics, our authorities have not taken adequate and proper steps. We know now, without filing the case in the local jurisdiction, they have gone to Singapore. Now they have failed to give information as to what's taking place in Singapore to the general public. And now they are saying that they are going to transfer the case to another court in the Singapore. So those are the compensation due to the public, or owned by the public, not by these officials.
Even though a lawsuit was filed in Singapore to secure a compensation claim of $6.4 billion, it is now reported that the legal matter needs to be transferred to another court. It was also revealed in the recent debate in Parliament that because Sri Lanka's intervention was not enough in the case filed by the shipping company in Britain to limit the compensation, the country was deprived of the opportunity of securing a huge amount of compensation. Can $6.4 billion cover the damage? What is the assessment of the environmental damage that continues to grow? Is there an accurate assessment of the short-term, medium-term and long-term impact on people's health? Will it be possible to get at least $6.4 billion from the case filed for compensation? In the midst of all this, there is a claim that $250 million was solicited as a bribe. Who took this money? Why has the country not yet been able to reveal accurate information about this? The Express Pearl maritime disaster caused serious damage to the priceless marine environment in the Sea of Sri Lanka. Yet, various presentations are being made to divert attention from it, and lethargic steps are being taken to address the issue. Is this being done to line someone's pockets? The Express Pearl maritime disaster took place during the administration of the former government. In 2023, Sri Lanka is governed by a new one. The media, together with the people, continue to call for justice. In 2 years, governments have changed, and yet no concrete effort was made on this matter for the benefit of the country. However, efforts are being made to silence the media that reveal these matters to the nation via new regulations like the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission. You can fool some of the people all of the time and all of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. The new chairman of the Cooperative insurance company DL Samar Vikrama was injured when two unidentified gunmen opened fire at him on Monday morning. He was shot when he was leaving his residence to assume duties as the new chairman of the Cooperative insurance company. Samar Vikrama is currently being treated in hospital for gunshot injuries.
A shooting took place down Gamunu Mawatha in Balpita, Meegoda at approximately 6:45 a.m. on Monday. This man, seen in CCTV footage, is running away with a 9mm pistol in hand after opening fire at the new chairman of the Cooperative insurance company DL Samar Vikrama. Samara Vikrama was the deputy chairman of the Cooperative Insurance Company and he became the chairman following the changes made in the company. Gunmen opened fire at DL Samara Vikrama just moments after he stepped out of his residence located down Gamanumavata in Valpita, Meegoda, in order to assume duties as the new chairman of the Cooperative Insurance Company. Sri Lanka police said a 9mm pistol was used in the shooting and 4 bullets were fired at Samara Vikrama. Preliminary investigations revealed that 2 men on a motorcycle had carried out the shooting and later fled the scene. 62-year-old DL Samara Vikrama, who was injured in the arm, was hospitalized for treatment. The perpetrators were not identified and 5 police teams are conducting investigations.
Internal disputes had taken place with regard to the post of chairman at the entity and the matter is in court. Detectives are focused on this as well. Therefore, other factions may be linked to this. However, it is impossible to state the motive for the shooting. Investigations are underway to identify the shooter and the suspects.
In recent times, motorcycle gunmen struck multiple times, leaving many bodies behind. On the 24th of May 2023, 2 motorcycle gunmen opened fire, killing a man on the Hinetigali Road in Unavattuna, Habaraduwa. On the 22nd of May 2023, a 38-year-old man was gunned down at the Suchi village in Siribopura, Hambantota. On the 20th of May 2023, motorcycle gunmen killed a 53-year-old man down Leslie Ranagala Mavata in Boralla, Colombo. On the 15th of May 2023, a man was killed and his son was seriously injured as motorcycle gunmen opened fire at them close to the Nugaruka bridge in Denipitia, Baligama. On the 14th of April 2023, a 29-year-old man was gunned down in Middaramulla, Ahungalla. On the 1st of April 2023, motorcycle gunmen opened fire at a man, injuring him in Badisitikanda in Kotaragama. On the 18th of March, motorcycle gunmen struck in Kotahena, killing 1 person. Who are these criminals roaming the streets in motorcycles and armed with weapons? How did these weapons reach the hands of the criminals? Shouldn't measures be taken to crack down on crimes immediately?
Plans are afoot in Sri Lanka to draft documents prepared by a subcommittee in order to suppress the media, and News First highlighted these efforts in its recent reports. A cabinet-appointed subcommittee led by Justice Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa with Ministers Bandula Gunawardena, Nimal Siripala de Silva, Keheliya Rabukwella and Manusha Nanayakkara prepared a document in this regard, and the contents have now been made public. The documents propose to prepare legislation that would pave the way to establish the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission, and this commission will be empowered to revoke and temporarily suspend the licenses issued to broadcasters, arrest and imprison journalists, impose fines on journalists, and also raid broadcasters. According to these reports, it is proposed that the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission be given complete regulators' powers. This was discussed on Monday by the joint opposition led by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. Following the meeting, the opposition leader noted that it was decided to unanimously reject such proposed pieces of legislation.
ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී ක්‍රමවේදය තුළ හතරවෙනි වැදගත් කුළුණ
Media is the 4th pillar in a democracy. The government is drafting laws to do away with media freedom in this country via the Broadcasting Authority Act. A similar piece of legislation was brought forward in 1997. On the 5th of May 1997, Supreme Court Justice A.R.D. Amarasinghe made it clear that the legislation was in complete violation of the Constitution. In the words of Justice Amarasinghe, this legislation too is in violation of the Constitution and is one that take away the democratic freedoms of the people. We must defeat this Broadcasting Regulatory Act.
විකාශන අධිකාරී පනත අපි සහමුලින්ම පරාජය කරන්න.
Professor G.L. Piris explained the magnitude of the proposed bill.
If we let the bill proposed by the government be legalized, that would definitely seal the coffin of the freedom of the country's media. That would be the end of media freedom. I was listening to a statement made on behalf of the government, and it was mentioned that this is only proposed. That is completely untrue. What has been presented is the proposed bill. The day this is legalized, the situation in the country regarding media freedom will completely change. Corruption will spread rapidly in the country. There is no doubt in that. According to the clauses in the bill, no individual, media channel or media institution is safe. Those institutions can be invaded. Under such circumstances, which media institution will be able to genuinely use its voice on behalf of the people instead of becoming yes men of the government? No one will be able to do so. Not even the minimum freedom will be available. If this is presented to the parliament, none of the clauses will be legal. Throw this entire bill away.
This was the response by the Jatika Jana Balawegaya.
The proposed regulatory commission will include 5 members appointed by the president. All 5 members will be puppets of the government led by the president. This is a government and the president that appointed members to an independent election commission and is not allowing them to conduct the election. If that is the fate of the independent election commission, we should understand what can be done if the president has powers to appoint and remove members from the regulatory commission. We are against the attempt to restrict people's access to information by giving the right to regulate media institutions. The government has colourful dreams, that is to privatize the country's economic assets, introducing laws like the Anti-Terrorism Act to suppress opposing forces and silencing opponents through new laws. That dream will fade. We cannot allow the government to control media internally by holding the media license to silence people and media.
The leader of the indigenous community of Sri Lanka expressed his opinion in this regard.
Any country in the world needs media. It is the media that can reveal things that are going on and make sure that justice is served. Media should be there for the people to be aware of their happenings. However, if a decision is made to ban media, that will be authoritarian of the government to do so. Then the people will not have the freedom to think or to express themselves to the country and the world. Our indigenous community is against suppressing media. Take a look at news from Europe. More than 500,000 people marched in anti-government protests in Poland on Sunday to voice their anger against the ruling party's attempts to pass a new law that would give the government sweeping powers to arrest political opponents and stifle the freedoms of citizens and the media.
Legendary trade union leader Lech Walesa, the country's first post-independence president, and former Prime Minister and opposition leader Donald Tusk joined protesters who had travelled from across the country to the capital Warsaw on the 34th anniversary of the country's first post-democratic election to protest against the ruling hardline Law and Justice Party. Large crowds also gathered in other major cities across the country carrying banners that demanded a free European Poland to protest against a right-wing government that has been accused of eroding fundamental rights and violating the constitution. Poland is a member of the European Union. The government has denied the accusations and repeatedly said it is simply acting to protect Christian values. The new law has been criticized by human rights groups and also the US government and the EU. Poland is due for parliamentary elections later this year, and the government has been criticized for high inflation and eroding the rights of women and the LGBTIQ community.
News first with the people.
When a heart attack strikes, every minute makes the difference between life and death. With the right care and treatment at the hand of the most skilled surgeons and medical professionals. With the perfect environment for recovery. Darden's Heart Center, dedicated to you.
Welcome back to the news. Still in local news, Pakistan naval ship Shah Jahan, which arrived in Colombo on the 2nd of June 2023 on a 2-day official visit, departed the island on Sunday. The PNS Shah Jahan was built at the Hudong Zonghua shipyard in Shanghai, China.
The Pakistan naval ship Shah Jahan conducted a naval exercise with SLNS Parakramabhahu of the Sri Lankan Navy, and the Navy bade customary farewell to the departing ship in accordance with naval traditions at the port of Colombo. In the passage exercise, formations and ship maneuvers, communication exercises were conducted, and it concluded with the customary cheer ship salute. During the ship's stay in Colombo, naval personnel of PNS Shah Jahan took part in a volleyball tournament organised by the Sri Lanka Navy with a view to promoting the camaraderie between both navies. In addition, naval personnel of the Sri Lanka Navy visited PNS Shah Jahan and observed the operational prowess of the Pakistan naval ship.
Airport and Aviation Services Sri Lanka Private Limited on Monday issued a clarification with regard to an incident involving world-famous Buddhist monk Venerable Ajahn Brahm Thera at the Katunayake Airport recently. AASL Chairman, retired Major General G.A. Chandrasiri said the Prime Minister's presence at the airport was not the cause for the delay. Reports of Venerable Ajahn Brahm Thera missing his flight on the 31st of May 2023 while awaiting to leave Sri Lanka from the VIP terminal at the Katunayake airport went viral in recent days. It was at the same time that Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and a delegation had visited the VIP terminal at the BIA to leave for Thailand to attend the UN Vesak Day celebrations.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena was scheduled to leave for Bangkok on an official visit aboard UL 402. All his flight operations were not scheduled for the terminal where the Venerable Thera was at, but outside that area. A separate staff was allocated for the Prime Minister's official visit. The Prime Minister's visit did not in any way impact the travel plans of Venerable Ajahn Brahm Thera. It cannot happen as well. This is my presentation as the Chairman of the Port and Aviation Services Sri Lanka Private Limited.
Venerable Ajahn Brahm Thera also commented on the matter.
When I went to airport, I am a well-known monk. So you go in the VIP lounge. That's, the special lounge. When I went into the VIP lounge, you can't just walk in there, because there's actually guards on there, soldiers with machine guns. I never knew at the time, but the Sri Lankan Prime Minister was also in the lounge that evening, another room. I never saw him. He was going off to some big event over in Bangkok. I was coming to Singapore and then to here. So there's a lot of soldiers around. So you went in there, plenty of time. You checked in. You had your boarding passes. They stamped your passport. Everything was, orderly. And plenty of time to wait for the flight. But then, when it came close to the boarding time, I said, we should be boarding soon. He said, no, wait. Don't worry, Ajahn Brahm. So I waited. I said, look, I think it's really time we should go now. And he said, no, don't worry. Everything's on schedule. And they explained, they said, anyone in the VIP lounge, they take them onto the plane last of all, so that, they can keep security or safety or whatever. So by the time they took me to the gate, that's when I saw the aircraft and the boarding bridge. The boarding bridge was moving away from the aircraft. Oh my goodness, this is not what I think is late. This is past the time. And then the lady who took me there, she went in there, and I could hear her arguing really loudly with the member from the Singapore Airlines, who was in charge of the flight. And they were shouting. Didn't matter how long they were shouting. Boarding bridge went further and further away, and the plane took off. I missed my flight. Nothing to do with anything which I was doing. I just got taken out. It was in the lounge. It's supposed to be VIP. You're supposed to look after VIPs. Please never become a VIP. You tend to lose your... If I had just walked there by myself, it'd be no problem. But you can't, because there's soldiers outside with guns, some real ones. So I missed my flight. And that caused a lot of problem trying to get another flight to get back here in time. So now, honestly... Venerable Metaji told me this evening. He went online and on one of the news sites over there, the Colombo page, wasn't it? There was an article there, the President of Sri Lanka. He's supposed to be running a country. Instead, he's initiated an inquiry about why Ajahn Brahmawangsa missed his flight. Honestly, it goes totally overboard. Yeah. But anyway, if anybody hears this, look... it's a small thing. Someone made a little mistake. It's not a big deal. So please, instead of having an inquiry about why I missed my flight, instead have an inquiry how you can have a better country with more forgiveness. Allow people to make mistakes. Because one thing which I've noticed, when you allow people to make a mistake, they're not afraid of making mistakes. They make less mistakes. So many people make a mistake out of fear. They're so afraid they tense up, and that's where mistakes happen.
Health sector employees protested in several areas today, hinting at an attempt to end free healthcare in the country.
The collective of health trade unions had organized a protest opposite the National Hospital in Colombo today. Signatures for a public petition were also obtained.
Establishing paying wards and further reducing government investment in state hospitals is the final phase of privatizing healthcare in the country. This was a decision taken under the IMF deal to cut government spending. The health sector is severely crippled. There are shortages of medicine, equipment and other material. Health professionals are leaving the country. The people are compelled to beg on the streets to find money for medicine. Ask the president and ministers to visit the hospitals and witness the situation firsthand.
Signatures for a public petition and a banner were obtained opposite the Ratnapura Teaching Hospital, opposing moves to privatize healthcare.
Plans are afoot in a very crafty manner to privatize public services in line with the IMF recommendations to resolve the economic crisis. This will detrimentally affect the overall economic activity of the country and will lead to the erosion of the health sector. If you visit the Ratnapura Teaching Hospital today, you will see patients who are on mattresses in corridors. Some patients are sharing beds. That is because the health of our nation has not improved proportionate to our population. Sri Lanka police on Monday arrested a member of a criminal gang that was scamming people online, promising them quick loans via social media. Police said the suspect was produced in court and was remanded until the 12th of June.
Scammers had gained access into the bank accounts of unsuspecting victims by obtaining the necessary information from the victim via social media by promising them quick loans. Sri Lanka police said that 7 mobile phones and 73 SIM cards were recovered from the possession of the suspect at the time of the arrest.
In order to provide the loan, they request for the bank book and the ID. Then, by using the ID, they obtain a new SIM. They use that to hack the account, and on payday, they transfer the money. The looted money was spent by the suspect by going on various tours. He had exhausted all the money and was preparing to obtain more. However, he had not received the money. Investigations revealed that a sum of 1.5 million rupees were accessed from the accounts. There are 73 SIMs to be investigated. He has obtained around 3 million rupees from this scam.
People from various parts of the country had fallen victim to this scam, and it was revealed that 15 such incidents were recorded by the Gampaha police alone.
US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung says now is the time to change the trajectory of the future of the plantation and hill country communities in Sri Lanka. She expressed these views at an event held at the Thondaman Vocational Training Centre in Kotagala, Hatton.
US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung visited the Thondaman Vocational Training Centre on Monday.
Sri Lanka has been through a very difficult period the past several years. A lot of economic challenges and pressures, and a result of global challenges as well in the global recession. But despite that, the Sri Lankan people have been so resilient. And here in Nuwara Eliya and the surrounding districts, and particularly the plantation communities, I know that there's been a lot of challenges and a lot of concerns and obstacles in the past. And now is the time. And now is the time to change the trajectory of the future of plantation and hill country communities here in Sri Lanka. And we're also looking forward to bringing investment and trade back to Sri Lanka after the very tough year that it's had. So there are many ways as Sri Lanka continues to recover and develop its economy and its people. It all comes back to more than just governments, more than the US government or Sri Lankan government, but it's got to take everybody working together, right? It's got to take the private sector, NGOs, civil society, governments, international community. We're all here to cheer you on, to help and support you, to be a partner to you.
The event was organized by the Thondaman Foundation. Ambassador Julie Chung engaged in a cordial discussion with the students of the training center.
Turu Kapakaru, a program to increase the reforestation drive within Sri Lanka, designed by News First with the partnership of Eslon Lanka Private Limited, took place earlier today.
The Sri Lanka Girl Guides Association held a march to launch the Thurukapakaru program with an aim to highlighting the importance of protecting the environment. The march proceeded from the Cooperative railway station to the Vihara Mahadevi Park in Colombo. The Thurukapakaru program was launched with the objective of protecting Sri Lanka's forests that provide life to all living beings. The program was led by S.C. Veerasekara, the Group Director and COO of the Capital Maharaja Group, and it was also attended by officials from the Central Environment Authority. Students who cared for saplings planted under the Thurukapakaru program was recognized at the event, while saplings were also distributed.
The Finance Houses Association of Sri Lanka, a collective of 37 licensed finance companies, launched a project to plant 261,000 saplings in line with the World Environment Day. The event was graced by the Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe.
It has been identified that the biggest impact of climate change is on countries like ours, especially low-income countries, and the small vulnerable economies, as we already seen. And Sri Lanka is one of the countries, mainly due to lack of investment in our countries in the direction of the climate adaptation and mitigation. Therefore, this kind of initiatives are certainly helpful to help mitigate the climate issues. As a country and a society, the best we could do is to contribute to the causes in the direction of climate combating, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and safeguard the country with adequate adaptation measures.
DFCC beach cleanup in collaboration with the Sri Lanka Navy and Eco Spindles Private Limited took place along the Uswatakeyawa coast recently. The program was part of the Life to Marine initiative that is aligned with the environment and in line with World Environment Day.
World Environment Day is being celebrated today under the theme Beat Plastic Pollution. News First took a deep dive into this matter and Theruni Karunaratne filed this report.
This is the Sarakua beach. 2 years ago, the MV Express Pearl, which was carrying 1,486 containers of chemical substances, caught fire and eventually sank, making it the most horrific maritime disaster due to human activity Sri Lanka has seen. As a result, a large amount of plastic pellets were washed ashore, and these plastic pellets caused immense damage not only to the marine ecosystem of Sri Lanka, but also to the environment as a whole. In conjunction with the World Environment Day on the 5th of June and its theme Beat Plastic Pollution, we are here to raise awareness on how damaging plastic can be to Mother Nature. Although it is convenient to use, plastic has proven to be extremely dangerous to the environment. To further explain the severe impact plastic has on the marine ecosystem, News First talked to Professor Turney Pradeep Kumara.
Ultimately, all these plastics and most of them end up in the ocean as some macroplastic and again as microplastic. So macroplastic and microplastic both, they directly impacting on large marine creatures like whales and dolphins. At the same time, the next level, the turtles. Not only that, this plastic again kill or making very negative impacts on small fish and other fish, at the same time planktons.
Lawyer and environmentalist Dr. Jagat Gunawardana explained the adverse effects of microplastics on the environment.
Once the microplastics enter the ecosystems, there is no way to cleanse the system of the microplastic, unlike the macroplastics which can be collected. And the second thing is, we don't see the microplastics and we don't know how much of microplastics that we consume with everything that we drink, from water to soft drinks, and also in foodstuffs.
Secretary of the Ministry of Environment Dr. Anil Jasinghe mentioned the measures being taken by the government to tackle plastic pollution.
The issue with plastics is, they'll be in the environment for hundreds and thousands of years. So therefore, the Ministry of Environment, time to time, we analyze and we sort of prohibit the production and sale and use of certain single-use plastics, mainly single-use plastics.
With the aim of promoting the concept of recycling, News First also visited a plastic recycling plant in Horana.
we do recycle PET bottles. So currently we collect 200 metric tons material, where it's from where as a recycling percentage it's 20%, and 80% still remaining in the environment. When you dispose this bottle, please dispose this waste bottle in responsible manner. In the sense, you can give that to the collection center, nearest MRF, nearest bin, likewise, or maybe municipalities, likewise.
Not only does recycling immensely reduce the plastic production in this world, it is also a mode of income to many. So as responsible citizens, we all should encourage plastic recycling. You can simply start by disposing the plastic you use in a proper manner, or by finding eco-friendly substitutes to plastic. Together, we all can indeed beat plastic pollution. Leaving you with that thought, I'm Theruni Karnaratna, reporting for News First.
Sri Lanka's Department of Meteorology warned that certain areas in the Kalutara district could experience over 150 millimeters of rain. It added that over 100 millimeters of rain can be expected in the Sabaragamuwa province and in the Galle and Mathura districts.
Sri Lanka's Met Department warned that the southwest monsoon conditions are gradually establishing across the island. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts. The National Building Research Organisation said the landslide warnings issued for the Badulla, Galle and Kalutara districts continue to be in effect. Warnings were issued to the Passara Divisional Secretariat in the Badulla district, Neluwa, Nagoda and Alpiti Divisional Secretariats in the Galle district, and the Palindanora, Valalla, Agalavatta and Bulat Sinhala Divisional Secretariats in the Kalutara district.
The central bank will hold a Treasury bill auction on Wednesday, the 7th of June.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka said that 140 billion rupees worth of treasury bills are to be issued through the auction on the 7th of June 2023. Bids can be submitted until 11 a.m. on Wednesday. The CBSL said the settlement date is the 9th of June 2023.
The LOLC Divisavia program that aims to support the education of Sri Lankan children continued in the Monragala district today. The LOLC Divisavia program delivers school books and stationery to the most impoverished students in the country. This worthy initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC group and the Ministry of Education. The program was held today, centering the Vallavaya, Monragala and Thanamalvila education zones in the Monragala district. The LOLC Divisavia program in the Monragala Education Zone took place at the zonal office premises. Students from 19 schools in the Monragala Education Zone took part in the program. School books and stationery items were delivered among the students of several schools, including the Yawwana Kumarapura Primary School and the Thanamalvila Niyadagala Primary School. The LOLC Divisavia program in the Vallavaya Education Zone provided school books and stationery items to students from the Saddatissa Primary School and Munasingha Primary School. The LOLC Divisavia program will continue to ensure a better future for all children across Sri Lanka. Top social media influencer Khalid Alameri, who is currently in Sri Lanka, held a meet and greet with his fans this evening.
Emirati vlogger Khalid Alameri held a meet and greet at the BMICH on Monday. Khalid Alameri is mostly known for his YouTube content alongside his wife Salama Muhammad. He also makes content for various other platforms with the aim of making his audience have a jolly good time as well as motivating them. Khalid Alameri's visit to Sri Lanka is important as he portrays the uniqueness of the place or country he visits.
Russia's defense ministry says it has thwarted a major Ukrainian offensive in Donetsk, claiming to have killed 250 troops and destroyed armored vehicles.
The Russian Defense Ministry said, quote, "On the morning of June 4th, the enemy launched a large-scale offensive in 5 sectors of the front in the South Donetsk region," unquote. Meanwhile, Ukraine said on Monday that Ukrainian forces continued moving forward near Bakhmut. Syrskyi said Ukrainian forces were successful in destroying a Russian position near the city. Video of what Russia says is the battle appears to show military vehicles coming under heavy fire in fields. But there has been no comment from Kiev, and Russia's claim has not been independently verified. A Ukrainian counteroffensive has been long awaited, but Kiev says it will not give advance warning of its start. It is too early to say whether this alleged offensive is the start of Kiev's long-awaited counterpunch. However, with Ukraine claiming to have made marginal gains elsewhere on the front line, there has been a notable increase in military activity. The Russian Defense Ministry said Ukraine had launched the large-scale offensive in the Donetsk region on Sunday using 6 mechanized and 2 tank battalions. It claimed the Ukrainians tried to break through Russian defenses in what Kiev saw as the most vulnerable part of the front line, but that it did not achieve its tasks. Moscow claimed Ukraine had lost 250 troops as well as 16 tanks.
Finally, in sports news, Sri Lanka's Tarushi Dilsara Karunaratne won gold in the women's 800-meter sprint at the 20th Asian Under-20 Athletics Championship. The 20th Asian Under-20 Athletics Championships is taking place in South Korea. Sri Lanka's Tarushi Dilsara Karunaratne won gold in the women's 800-meter sprint at the 20th Asian Under-20 Athletics Championships. She clocked a timing of 2 minutes and 5 seconds, and Nurmagomedov Akbayan from Kazakhstan came in second, followed by King Yingying from China in third. Tarushi Dilsara Karunaratne won the gold medal in the 400-meter sprint on Sunday. Sri Lanka won gold in the 4x400 mixed relay at the 20th Asian Under-20 Athletics Championships as well. The team clocked 3 minutes, 25.41 seconds to win the race. Sri Lanka was represented by Jahan Dilranga, Tarushi Karunaratne, Vinod Aryavansa and Jayeshi Uttara. Sri Lanka's Malityasiru won bronze in the men's triple jump. He recorded a distance of 15.82 meters. Dinara Bandara took part in the finals of the 100-meter women's sprint and clocked a time of 12.049 seconds. And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the News First team, I'm Jamal Ratnaika. Take care and good night.